So last time we had a sequel to one of the side games with Pokemon Puzzle Challenge. So now it's time to usher in another sequel, this time to the beloved Pokémon Stadium. If you wish, check out my episode 5 of this Paraspective on Pokemon Stadium so you aren't so completely lost as I talk about the sequel. Alright, not really, but hey, it'll give my channel more watch time if you do. But in that episode, I talked about how in Japan, Pocket Monster Stadium was released in 1998 that has recently been dubbed Pokemon Stadium 0, and then Pocket Monster Stadium 2 is the game that North America got with the title Pokemon Stadium. So, in December of 2000, Japan made a sequel to that, but instead of calling it Pokemon Stadium 3 to cause Final Fantasy levels of confusion, it was called Pokemon Stadium Gold and Silver in Japan, obviously centering the game around Generation 2. But you know what? Things are finally starting to line up a bit more in this retrospective series. We are no longer trying to catch up to Japanese releases from years prior. This time, Pokemon Stadium Gold and Silver, now translated to Pokemon Stadium 2 in North America, was released only about 3 months after the Japanese version on March 26, 2001, and then in Europe on October 10, 2001. I feel like this all sounds more complicated than it really is. So Pokemon Stadium 2 was once again developed by Nintendo Entertainment Analysis and Development, returning from all of the other Pokemon Stadium releases. You know, the little development branch in Nintendo that brought us small games like basically every main Mario, Zelda, Yoshi, Mario Kart, and Star Fox games. So they brought the big guns in for these Pokemon Stadium games. I don't know if I emphasized that enough in my other episode, or if I even mentioned it at all, but surprisingly, this was it for their Pokemon games. Nintendo EAD would go on to make more Zelda, Mario, and Mario Kart games, as well as Animal Crossing, Pikmin, and Wii Sports, but that was it for Pokemon. But the basis for this Pokemon Stadium sequel is primarily the same as the others. Use the Nintendo 64 Transfer Pack to bring in your Pokemon from Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, or Silver to battle in tournaments in 3D, or use the built-in Game Boy to play your actual games on the N64. Except, here's the other thing. In Japan, the additional version to Gold and Silver was released on the exact same day as Pokemon Stadium Gold and Silver, known as Pokemon Crystal. North America will not get Pokemon Crystal until late July of 2001, but it is still compatible with Pokemon Stadium 2. Kinda weird there. So per tradition, let's check out the box for Pokemon Stadium 2, the North American version, and as always, pretend it's March of 2001. Except for when I reference the future in a moment. But shh. So we have a very shiny looking cover showcasing the 3D models of the Gen 2 legendary birds, Ho-Oh and Lugia, over a swirly gold and silver background. Pretty basic as a lot of these covers are. At the bottom it says, links to Game Boy, Pokemon Gold, Silver, Yellow, Blue, and Red. As I said, Crystal is actually compatible as well, but since the game wasn't released yet, it is not listed on the box. I wouldn't know this if I didn't look it up for myself. On the right, it simply shows that this game is designed for the N64 Transfer Pack and that this is for 1 to 4 players. The back of the box says, hundreds of Pokemon in tremendous 3D. What's sweeter than a victory in a Pokemon battle? Victory in a 3D arena on the N64. Wow, they're really showing their creative spark with these puns and quips. Also, hundreds of Pokemon. Could you imagine though? Set your strategy, then stand back while your Pokemon battle it out. You can even see the Pokemon you've trained, fully rendered in 3D and ready to battle. Yeah, no surprise here if you've played the first one, but they had to let newcomers know what this is. Also, 3 mentions of the Pokemon being in 3D in 1 paragraph. Yeah, they really want you to know this. Nearly 250 Pokemon! Wait, nearly? If you count the mythical Celebi, there are 251 that exist. So the game doesn't even have 250? Transfer Pokemon from the red, blue, yellow, even silver and gold versions of Pokemon for Game Boy, or play with rental Pokemon included in the game. Again, nothing new from the previous game, but it has to be here. See them all in glorious 3D. Wow, the Pokemon are 3D in this? Ho-Oh, Lugia, Entei, and Pichu against all-time favorites like Mewtwo, Charizard, Blastoise, and Pikachu. I always like seeing which Pokemon they choose to mention on blurbs like this. They all pretty much make sense, but I like how Baby Pichu is thrown in, one that is notoriously very weak. Pichu up against Mewtwo, yeah, okay. Also, weird that they only mention Entei out of the legendary beasts, and no Venusaur. There's only so much space for sure, but it's just interesting to me to see the chosen examples. Become the Stadium Champion. Take on 21 Pokemon trainers in the Gym Leader Castle to try and win it all. So the Gym Leader Castle returns. Makes sense. It was a pretty important part of the first one. 12 all-new mini-games. Try to bump the other Hitmontop out of the arena in Topsy-Turvy, or charge up more energy than anyone else in Pichu's power plant. Heck yeah, the mini-games are back. They were a fun addition in Pokémon Stadium. Also, Mario Party 1 and 2 were both out, and 3 was on the way, so mini-games were all the rage back then. Then in bright red and yellow, transferring Pokemon requires an N64 Transfer Pack and a Game Boy Pokemon Game Pack, each sold separately. Yeah, it's pretty important to know this ahead of time. You have to spend some money on other stuff to get the most out of this game. Pokemon Stadium came with a transfer pack, but with this game, you are on your own to acquire one. And in the top right, we have something new. Official Nintendo Power Player's Guide available at your nearest retailer. Or to order, call this number or visit Nintendo.com. So I feel like if you're going to own any guides for games, Pokemon games are a safe bet to get a bit of use from them. There's so much info to know, like when Pokemon evolve, when they learn moves, where they are, etc. A Pokemon guide is like your very own Pokédex. I used to use my guide for Gold and Silver constantly. And yeah, it has some wear and tear. I had one for Pokemon Stadium as well, but never for Stadium 2. Then we naturally get the gameplay images. First, it's interesting to note that there's a smaller gameplay image of either Gold or Silver to show that those games work here. A Typhlosion using Flamethrower on a poor level 15 Mankey. That monkey didn't stand a chance at life. Image 1 has a level 100 Steelix against a level 100 Sentret, so there's some more lopsided fun. Image 2 is the in-game Pokédex entry for an Espeon. By reading air currents, it can predict things such as the weather or its foe's next move. Well, since the trainer is the one who calls out the moves that the Pokemon use, Espeon knowing the next move seems like a wasted talent. It's not like it can tell you what's going to happen or anything. Life's funny sometimes. Image 3 is a level 50 Typhlosion using some fire attack against a mysterious level 50 Pokemon named Well, alright. I wonder if it's supposed to be a Mankey to show the comparison of the battle in this game next to the Game Boy battle. I bet there's a Mankey out there named and I hate it. Image 4 is probably one of the minigames. 4 Eevee running around a colorful circle as an Aipom hangs onto a rope in the middle. And finally, the last image is of Earl's Pokemon class. I don't know who Earl is, but I request adult supervision around him. The menu options are classroom or library, and then a description that I can't even read. So there we have it. I think it's time we check out this sequel proper and see what's different and or better from Pokemon Stadium. So we get an interesting intro of some Gen 2 Pokemon in 3D that appear as if a door is opening each time. Specifically, Scizor, Donphan, Bellossom, Skarmory, Umbreon, Pichu, Lugia, and Ho-Oh. And well, that's the whole intro. Then, like with Pokemon Stadium, it checks for a game pack and the transfer pack, and then there's a main menu with more sub-menus off of that. Options are self-explanatory. Then there's Mystery Gift, which, if you have Gold, Silver, or Crystal in the transfer pack, you can do a Mystery Gift in those games where you get a random item once per day, and this game allows you to get one as well. Event Battle is going against a Player 2 in a Stadium-style battle, and Battle Now, which I'll show, is pretty much exactly like it was in Stadium 1. And this is also how the Pokemon battles operate in this game. You secretly select 3 Pokemon out of the 6 to go against who you think your opponent is using, but this time, the Pokemon can also have a held item, which was an addition in Gen 2. Then it's exactly the same here.
Are you ready? This battle is for eager people who want to battle right away.
The announcer is back and you simply battle your Pokemon. You check what moves you have and press the corresponding C button and then proceed to see who wins. Nothing to it. But the focus here is on the Johto Pokemon. There are now 251 Pokemon you can use throughout the game, as opposed to 151 in Stadium 1, which, I mean, is the whole point of making a sequel, I guess. But White City is the main submenu of the game, acting as the hub world where everything else is. In the center is the stadium, the main focus of the game, where you are given rules and can do more customized 3D battling. Pokemon Lab is where you can do all of your organizing, trading, etc. in your actual Pokemon games. There are even boxes in this game where you can store Pokemon, which basically makes it like a hub PC for all 6 Pokemon games. We used this a ton back in the day, and I'll get into this more in a moment. My Room is where you can decorate an in-game room with decorations you get from Mystery Gift and stuff. Just a fun little side addition. The GB Tower is where you can actually play whatever Pokemon game you have in the Transfer Pack. Eventually, you can get Doduo and Dodrio Game Boys, which allow you to play at even faster speeds. Pokemon Academy is where Creepy Earl is, where you can touch up on Pokemon trivia and stuff. Free Battle is basically like Event Battle in the main menu. Minigames are, of course, the minigames, which I will also get into shortly. And finally, the return of the Gym Leader Castle, where you fight each gym leader in order, starting with Johto. I spent a lot of time and experienced a lot of frustration with this thing back in the day. It gets rough. But going into a few of these more, the stadium itself is where you can do the tournaments. The Little Cup is where you enter Pokemon that are only level 5. This is a unique little addition. You're basically using ones that are just hatched from eggs with TMs taught to them, unless you're using the rental Pokemon. Another returning option in case you need to use some you didn't train yourself or don't have a transfer pack or a Pokemon game. The Poke Cup is the standard, only levels 50 to 55, and then the Prime Cup, where any level goes. This could prove to be fun or completely miserable or pointless if your Pokemon levels are all over the place. And the Challenge Cup is where you're given a pre-selected team and must devise your own strategy on the spot. I believe there was an episode in the anime where this was a thing too. It's a cool idea. The Pokemon Academy is actually pretty useful too. You can test your knowledge with a quiz, but more importantly, you have your very own in-game Pokemon guide in the library. You can find pretty much any information of any Pokemon here. Base stats, weaknesses, what games they're found in, how they evolve, what moves and TMs they learn. It's pretty awesome. It's like Bulbapedia before Bulbapedia. You can also learn about all of the in-game items, egg groups, moves. There's just a lot of info here. But before checking out the lab, I think it's time to talk about the minigames. I used to love these, and I think they are a far improvement over Stadium 1's minigames. The majority of them are quite fun, some simpler than others, and there's even a quiz option here too. Choose your difficulty, and then there are 12 minigames. Gutsy Golbat is where you are 4 Golbats in a cave where you fly around collecting hearts and dodging Magnemites. If you slam into another Golbat, one of their hearts flies out to be grabbed by anybody else. This one is good chaotic fun. At the end, you find out that a Jinx was the one blowing heart kisses. How sweetly creepy. Topsy-Turvy is where you control a Hitmontop and must act as a top and press A to push the others out of the ring as you glide around. This one is a lot of fun with real people. Clear Cut Challenge has you be either a Scyther or Pinsir, and there's only one button involved. You see a log get raised with a white line on it. You wait for the log to drop and press A to cut as close to the line as you can in 5 turns. Cutting above the line loses points though. Very simple, but yet again, it's another fun one. Furret's Frolic puts you as a Furret in tall grass in the shape of the control pad. Different Pokeballs will fall into the grass, and you have to try and push the ball into the goal across from you by directing your Furret and pressing A. Eventually, there are like 3 or 4 balls in the ring at once, and yet again, I also really like this one. Barrier Ball has you be a Mr. Mime, and you basically act as a goalie using the move Barrier against 3 other goalies. A Pokeball will move around, and you press A and a direction to push the ball and try and score a point in anybody else's goal. Pretty similar to Furret's Frolic, but this one takes a little more strategy. I think this is one of the best minigames. Pichu's Power Plant is where you are a Pichu surrounded by 4 electrodes, not the Pokemon Electrode. Either the A or B button will appear over 1 or 2 at a time, and you simply press the direction on the pad and press that button as fast as you can to charge up your meter. This one is probably the first game that's a bit too simplistic, and it's over in about 10 seconds. I think it's really easy, and you see the other poor Pichu get electrified, which is just horrific looking. Oh well, at least they are electric types. Rampage Rollout is a pretty unique one. You are a Donphan racing around a track by turning at 90-degree angles. Over time, you can get little tornadoes that you can leave behind to trip up the other racers, similar to bananas in Mario Kart. Do this for 9 laps.
I'm ghost riding the whip! Crazy taxi!
This one is decent, but not one of my favorites. Streaming Stampede is a strange one. You're either a Cleffa or Igglybuff, but that doesn't matter at all. It shows you a specific Pokemon, and all you do is count the amount of that Pokemon that appear as they go by in a set amount of time. At first, it's toddler level easy. Round 1 here was counting 4 Psyduck running by, that's it. But the final round, dear God, look at this. You have to count every Pokemon you see, and it is such a drastic advance in difficulty that it's jarring. This is one of the lesser games in my opinion. Tumbling Togepi is pretty similar to Run Rattata Run from Stadium 1. You're on a little conveyor belt as a Togepi and must run and tumble around, hitting blue arrow speed-ups and dodging obstacles to reach the end first. Not much to it, but it's pretty fun. Delibird's Delivery is this game's sushi go-round, but even better. You are a Delibird and you go to the bottom to pick up 1 to 5 gifts that continuously appear to bring back to the top. You can wait for the same gift to get combos, wait for the diamond ring to appear for the most points, and so on. The piano, for example, gives you the second most points, but is super heavy, so you move even slower. On top of that, Swinub will run by to slow you down. This is easily the minigame with the most strategy involved. Egg Emergency is where you are a Chansey and you press L or R to lean left or right in order to catch falling eggs while dodging falling Voltorb that cause you to lose eggs. It's possible to get a perfect score here, so this one could end in a tie. Pretty straightforward game here. And finally, the last game is the one shown on the back of the box, Eager Eevee. It's sort of like musical chairs, where 4 Eevee automatically run in a circle while an Aipom covers something in the middle. When it lifts the covering in the air, be the first to press A to dash into the middle to collect the fruit. But if there's a Pineco, you get a penalty and don't get to play in the next round. You can also fake out your opponents by pressing B. I did absolutely atrocious on this example run, but come on, I haven't played this in like 20 years. One cool addition with the minigames is if you have your game in the transfer pack with a corresponding Pokemon for the minigame, you will use your own Pokemon in the minigame. I like this little addition. And that about does it for most of the game, except I want to check out the lab a little bit more. So I wanted to do something different here, and I wanted to actually look at what Pokemon we have on my physical cartridge that I got back in 2001. There are some Pokemon on here that we had from our original playthroughs in, 98, 99 or whatever, so come on, let's check it out. This right here is my original blue cartridge that I got from Shane way back when. So let's see if it still works. All you do is you put it in the transfer pack cartridge, press power, and just like that, all you do is put it right into the transfer pack, press power, and just like that, you just put it right into the transfer pack, press power, and just like that, you should be good to go. Come on! Just like that, you press power, press power, press power, and there we have it. So it's pretty awesome being able to look through, like, wow, these are so old too. There's Dr. Dre, the Togepi, of course. Oh, there's so many on here to look at. Mets fan. No. No. Here's a box called Mew that has some random ones in it. I don't even see a Mew. Oh, there we go. There's the Mews. Yeah. We legit got these because there's no other way you can get Mew. There's Ted Nugent the Meowth. Here's when I did a Fraser team. So, yeah, Fraser's a Togetic. Here's Rata this. Oh. So it's just really cool that the Pokemon can still exist on these cartridges. I feel like the original Game Boys are more durable than Game Boy Advance ones or whatever. I know there are a lot of gold and silver copies that the batteries don't work anymore because of the internal clock, but Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, they have stood the test of time. So as far as my personal history goes, I had just turned 15 when this came out. I was still a freshman in high school, yet I couldn't be more excited for this game. My Poke fandom was still riding high at this point, even though I was about to enter that high school era rock and roll lifestyle of sex, drugs, and alcohol. Okay, maybe not, but you don't know that. Just because I'm still talking about Pokemon in my mid-30s doesn't mean I was a huge nerd back then. But I absolutely was, so assume away. The point is, I'm quite sure that Pokémon Stadium 2 was my birthday gift that year. I already loved Pokémon Stadium, so this seemed like a bit of an improvement. And yeah, my friends and I played this an absolute ton, whether it be the Gym Leader Castle, tournaments, minigames, the Game Boys, all of it. I have a lot of fond memories with this game, and it's so cool being able to see the Pokemon that still exist on here from way back in the 90s. I remember my friend James and my brother both trying over and over again to be perfect on Egg Emergency. I could still mention Egg Emergency to my brother, and he knows exactly what I'm referring to. James, Shane, and I all planned so many team ideas through here, starting new games on the Game Boy ones over and over, taking advantage of the organization system in the game rather than the tiny screen on the Game Boy. We hatched eggs, traded them over, etc. I love Pokémon Stadium 2, except this game was basically the end of an era for me. The next 2 game releases in this Paraspective are Pokémon Crystal, and then just like that, Gen 3 starts with Ruby and Sapphire. I've never owned Crystal, and it took me many years to even play Ruby or Sapphire for the first time. So with me turning 15 here, Pokémon Stadium 2 really was the end of my childhood Pokémon fandom. I went on to furthering high school and starting college a few years later and hanging out with new friends and all that stuff, so Pokemon kinda temporarily ended for me here. It's sad looking back, but I mean, obviously the franchise returned to my life in a big way over time. Here I am making videos for all of you about it in 2022. So I will always look back fondly on the Pokémon Stadium 2 release, and I'm so glad I still have my original copy complete in box. I'm glad for a couple reasons, because this game is quite valuable now. It is my single most valuable video game that I own according to the Game Eye app, so that's pretty cool.
Where's that Parasect?
Oh yes, it's time to shine some light on our Shroom Boy yet again. But like with Pokémon Stadium, Parasect's existence in this game is mostly based on when you bring the one over you undoubtedly trained in one of the games over for tournaments or battling. There's also the free rental ones that exist since every Pokemon is in the game, contradicting the word nearly on the box cover. But of course, you'll find Parasect periodically throughout the ball tournaments and Gym Leader Castle. Rocket Executive M uses a level 51 in round 2. You know, only the ultimate final battle of the Rocket Takeover segment in the castle, that's all. And once again, Mad Lad Blaine chooses to go against expectations and rock a Shroom Boy on his fire team in round 1, striking fear in every water Pokemon you bring in. I don't know how you keep dropping the ball in this one, Grass Leader Erica, but my dude here is showing you up. The same goes for newcomer Bugsy with his stupid bug team. No Parasect in sight. What are you even doing with this Raticate and Quagsire? You're no bug leader. And unfortunately, Parasect does not appear in any minigames, but maybe someday. But aside from that, you can always find the Pokédex entry for Parasect here, so we can all hail the mighty Spore in glorious 3D. So ratings-wise, Pokémon Stadium 2 got sort of surprisingly low grades, with most of them hovering around a solid C. A lot of this is probably due to you needing to have at least one of the Game Boy games, if not one from each generation, as well as 1 to 4 transfer packs to get the most out of this. Then you're looking at dropping a bit of extra straight cash. Without a Pokemon game or transfer pack, I agree, the game is very lacking. You're then limited to rental Pokemon matches or the minigames, and that isn't really worth the price in the end. But like I said, I did have the blue, yellow, and silver versions, as well as the games my friends owned, and 2 transfer packs. So I was able to enjoy the game for what it offered, and I'm so glad I did. Pokémon Stadium 2 ended up being the 19th best-selling Nintendo 64 game of all time, but selling less than half as much as Stadium 1 did. I think this was for a couple reasons. Pokemania was much bigger in 2000 and was perhaps being seen as a dying fad by 2001. Maybe this is largely based on my perspective, but I feel like there was a time where Pokemon wasn't a huge thing anymore. It would continuously gain a resurgence over time, but the mid-2000s were a bit on the meh side. Pokemon is the most profitable franchise of all time, so it's not like nobody cared then. The third theatrical film, Pokémon 3 the movie, The Spell of the Unknown, came out in North America in April of 2001, and was much less successful than the first 2 films. The English anime was in the middle of the Johto Journeys season then, and I didn't bother watching it anymore. My friends and I stopped buying cards as well, so things were changing. But back to Stadium 2. This game was a sequel, so there were probably some parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, etc. who avoided this because of the 2 in the title. Just a guess though. But I think another big factor in the low sales was that the Nintendo 64 was nearing the end of its life. The GameCube was due out later that year, and North America was going on almost 5 years of the Nintendo 64 being around. So yeah, this would not only be the last game released from the Stadium series, but also the last Pokemon game for the Nintendo 64 in general. Kinda sad, but such is the nature of things. If I were to isolate just the Nintendo 64 Pokemon games and rank them, my order would be Hey You Pikachu easily in last, Pokemon Puzzle League in 4th, Pokemon Stadium in 3rd, Pokemon Snap in 2nd, and Pokemon Stadium 2 in 1st. I simply have more nostalgia with Stadium 2 and Snap than I do with Stadium. And I never played Puzzle League or Hey You Pikachu until this Paraspective, so those are naturally last for me. All in all, it was a fun era for Pokemon and really encompasses my nostalgic adolescent years. You know, when you're at your peak awkwardness. So yeah, even though the Nintendo 64 era is over, we still have one more to go on the Game Boy Color before putting a close to that system too. We're going to hop 4 months into the future to July of 2001 with an additional version to Gold and Silver. This is sort of like the Pokemon Yellow of Generation 2. Paraspectre will return for Pokemon Crystal version.